Hey guys, and welcome back to the next video. Today we want to talk about a special topic which you guys asked for so many times, and that's a Sui LaLo guide. And I will show you guys a couple of replays of what I did, like 2 3 stars and 1 fail. And I would talk over what went right, what could I have done better, what is your aim, for example, what you go for with your heroes, what do you try to accomplish with your loons, etc. And I can highly recommend this army right here, like at the bottom. This one, like it's super strong right now, and all of the Asian guys are using it. That's how we tried, or like how we found out about it, and we tried it on our own, and it's just like insanely strong. I will just briefly go over the army and what every single troop is, like the thinking behind that and why you have that in your army comp, and explain everything, and then we will jump right into the replays. Once again, I'm sorry that it's only replays and no live attacks, but it's way easier for me to draw and show you everything when it's a replay than like doing it myself and meanwhile just like explaining it. That would be really tricky to do, and that's why it's only replays. I hope you guys can understand that. And we'll check out the army. The first thing is the archers. The archers are getting used for cleanup in the end, or if you're luring out a lava hound and you don't want to kill it, then you can just like lure it somewhere with the archer that is not like distracting any units, and that's like the main reasoning behind bringing the archers. Then you have 5 wall breakers just to make sure that your heroes are getting deeper into the base when you're starting your Sui part. What is the Sui part? The Sui part is pretty much that you're sacrificing your king and queen to get value out of the base and prepare the base for your LaLo part. You're like trying to get rid of the Inferno Tower, Eagle, Town Hall, whatever. We'll talk about that later, what you're trying to aim for. But that's mainly the goal for your heroes, and the wall breakers are there to support them pretty much. The next thing what we want to talk about is the baby dragon. The baby dragon is pretty much just to make sure that your heroes are going into the right direction. And if you don't need them to make the funnel in the beginning, then you can just make sure that, for example, in the end when you're starting the LaLo, you can use the baby dragons to tank archer towers from the outside, meanwhile like dropping loons on the archer tower. Because you have only 2 hounds on this army comp, we will talk about that in a second. The next thing is we have only 6 minions, so we cannot like spend hours and hours for the Sui for the first phase. We have to like get everything done really quick, and at the same time we have only 2 hounds. That's why we don't have too many pups. So it should be just like a quick attack. And yeah, so 6 minutes aren't a lot, but it should be normally enough. Then we have the main part of this army, and that's 2 lava hounds and 35 loons. In your CC, you're bringing 1 slammer and even more loons. So you have around 43 loons overall. And that's an insane amount, especially when you have your warden max. It just like there's so many loons grouping up in the end that the defenses just can't handle it. And if you're lucky enough that you still have a heal spell left, well, then the loons will never ever die in that base. So that's super important. The lava hounds are pretty much just for making sure that your loons can enter the base. And as soon as they're in the base, they will just like go so fast with all of the haste spells, rage, etc. So that's like the main idea of this attack. The spells, we have 1 heal spell just to make sure that if we don't have the warden ability to like help the loons through a couple of Inferno Towers or something like that, then we can use the heal spell. At the same time, we have 2 freeze, just like use it on the Town Hall, for example, or like somewhere else, like Inferno Towers, Enemy Queen, stuff like this. Then we have a poison. If we don't lose the CC with our heroes, then we can just make sure that we are getting rid of those CC troops with the poison. Like not that many people are using a dragon right now on the CC because it's super bad against like pretty much any other army, like queen charges, P.E.K.K.A. smash, whatever you're choosing. Dragons aren't good in the defensive CC overall, so not that many people are using it. So everything else you can just kill with 1 poison, which is nice. Then 4 haste spells, just make sure that your loons are like speeding through the base. 2 skeleton spells. If you want to, you can mix like 1 skeleton spell with an earthquake, but I'm preferring right now the 2 skeleton spells because normally I have it's pretty easy for me to activate the town hall if I have to with the skeleton spell, but normally you either have the percentage or you can use the slammer for that, which is way easier in my opinion. Then in your CC, like I said, a slammer, 8 loons and a rage. What you can do as well, you can bring only 6 loons and 1 baby dragon, but that's up to you. And well, I don't know, I never really saw the baby dragon did a lot of work, so I'm more a fan of the 8 loons. So now let's take a look at the attacks. I have 2 attacks, like I said, where I tripled. Oh, let's get rid of this. And we pause in the beginning because we want to talk about the first part, and that's the hero dive pretty much, and what you're trying to go for. Like, what are your main objectives you want to get rid of with your heroes? And that's at the same time one of the most tricky parts when it comes down to planning. Like, that's not really hard to execute, but it's really hard to like plan ahead. What is your goal? What do you try to go for? And on this army composition, it's not like, if you get the queen away with your own heroes, that's nice, but at the same time you have the skeleton spells. So you have already something for your enemy queen, so it's not like one of your main objectives. Your main objectives are first Town Hall, Eagle, Inferno Towers, and otherwise just like high value buildings like Expos, Wizard Tower, stuff like this. But as well, you can go for pathing. Like when you're finding something where you can like get rid of defenses, so your loons have like a better way through the base, that's totally fine as well. But this last part is like based on experience with the strategy. It's not about like, yeah, you can get rid of this part of the base and then it's easy for Lalo. That's really hard to explain for me, and even like sometimes for me to pull it off. So for you guys, it's I guess the easiest way if you first go for objectives like buildings, like I said, Town Hall, Eagle, Inferno Tower, stuff like this. On this base, I decided to go for the Town Hall because first, the CC is kind of deep into the base, which means the defensive CC troops won't come out. And then at the same time, I know on those bases there are so many traps in front of the Town Hall, which means if I can get rid of the Town Hall, I don't really have to fly over all of the black mines, the air skeletons, etc. So that's really nice for me. And that's why I decided, okay, let's go for the Town Hall. We will go through the Sui part, and then I will pause again so I can show you like how the Lalo part is planned. And as soon as we are there, I will draw everything in so you can see it. First, the queen out of range of everything, then the king, just to make sure that she's going to the Town Hall. And as soon as like all of the traps are coming up, like I said, there's so many traps normally around the space, like spring traps are coming up, giant bomb, more skeleton traps. It's insane. Like all those bases are so annoying to attack. But yeah, that's it for my hero part. So that's what I got with my heroes. What did I accomplish with my heroes? Like first, obviously I got rid of the Town Hall, which is nice. But as well, I created like a nice pathing. And for this, I know that's like really hard to do. But if you want to get good at this strategy, you want to do this in your head pretty much every single attack. You want to try to like completely get rid of all of the buildings where no defenses. So I will surround all of show you guys what are the defenses, like this, and then we have over here the defenses like this, something. I will just like so okay, something like this. And now we can see, like with doing this as well, we can see we have overall 3 connections, like this, and this between the 2 islands. Like this is island number 1 and this is island number 2. So what do we want to go for? Like we have those 3 connections, and our main goal is to funnel our loons through those connections, and we have to decide whether we are coming from the left or from the right island and what is better for our Lalo part. So what we accomplished with our heroes, like I said, we got rid of the Town Hall, but as well we got rid of all of those buildings which are in front, which means we can like target all of the defenses behind the walls directly, which is always super important for loons, because then it's like easier pathing overall. Which means, okay, the goal for this is to get the loons safely over those bridges into the second island. And what we try to do is, like, we are using our 2 hounds to make sure that our loons can enter the base, tanking for them, and then as soon as they reach the base, we just like get crazy with our spells, with our warden ability, etc. So what we do is we use 1 hound over here, 1 hound over here, and then we just like go ham with all of the loons, like target all of those defenses directly, and then everything is coming together into the like going over the bridges into the other compartment. And meanwhile, we can use the slammer to make the second island a little bit smaller. And we can use it over here, and then it will like come together in the end, and then we have like a huge like ball of loons, and that's always the end pretty much of those attacks, that you have like a huge group of loons just like overwhelming the rest of the base. And that's pretty much the idea of this attack. And what I try to do, why do I don't come from with the slammer from the other side? That's pretty simple, because of this cannon. So the cannon is like denying me to enter the air defense directly, which means it's more damage on my slammer, and that just sucks. So that's why we do it like this. And I will go ahead with the attack, get rid of this, because you should know it now. And let's see how this works. First hound, loons. Second hound in 1 second as well. Even more loons behind. That you guys can see, like, there's the difference. We got rid of the Tesla on one side, like over here. On the other side, they're still there, which means they completely screw up the pathing of the loons, which is super annoying. But that's what I said with that the king has huge value as well. So, early one ability, and rage spell. Normally you want to have the rage spell onto the queen, just to make sure that the queen is like getting completely demolished by the skeletons, because I dropped the skeletons onto the queen. One super big mistake from me is, well, I had my warden set to ground. That's not the best thing to do. And then, like I said, we have still like three big groups of loons. 1, 2, 3. And now they're like I said, all coming together, all grouping up at the last couple of defenses. And this is going to be a huge overkill. Even though my Lalo wasn't the cleanest, I have to, like, all the attacks I'm showing you were my Lalo attacks, and they are way better Lalo attackers than I am. I'm normally the queen charge guy, so all those things I can explain to you in theory. I can show you how I try to execute it, but at the same time, there's still a lot of like way to improve my own Lalo attacks. But I know the theory on how to do things, but doing those, it's still a little bit tricky for me. But well, that's how you can break down a base like this. And like I said, we have 2 more attacks to go. One more triple, what we want to see right now. And it's a pretty similar base. Actually, it's the base I used in the beginning. I built that base and it defended really good. At some point, more and more people copied it. So it got like really bad because, well, everyone knew the trick how to counter this base. And in the beginning, where it was fresh, I had like maybe 4 to 5 1-stars on that base a day, which is insane. So yeah, this isn't a bad base, but as soon as people like get used to how to counter this base, it's pretty annoying. So yeah, if you want to stay at the top, you have to get new bases every couple of days. So that's a bit tricky, but yeah, let's break down this base. We have those compartments on the left and on the right with Inferno Towers, which are the easiest to like get into, because the reason why we can't do the part or like what we did right now on the other base, just like getting the town hall with our heroes, is there's so much stuff around. There could be Tesla over here. The CC is really far on the outside, which means we have to probably face a hound, which is like insanely annoying. Our king won't survive long because there can be giant bombs. The bomb tower is really annoying as well. So it's super tricky to do the Sui part at the top without having something like an ice golem or stuff like this. So just with the heroes, this will never ever work. So don't even try that. What I tried to do on this one is trying to get rid of one of those like corner compartments. Let's put it like the left one. So we get rid of all of this. And then we have to decide where do we do our Lalo. So I will play the replay. We can check out what I did with my heroes. And then we get back to the Lalo part. And how I try to execute it. So I'm starting with the coconut loon, any baby dragon, any second. There we are. So baby dragon got rid of the archer tower and the army, like the builder hut. Now I'm using the king and baby dragon to like funnel everything. By the way, if a couple of you guys think this guy is crazy with all of the walls over here, he like copied my base apparently like completely, because all of those walls are to prevent entries with rams. Like normally what people are doing are like queen walks like this and then get in with the ram, which is like with those walls the ram is taking like 5 seconds longer than it actually would. So that's pretty nice. And that's the reason why all of the walls were over there. So let's see. We got rid of everything like this, like I said. And then we have to think about what do we do next. We have two options. The first one is to like do this lalo. The second one is to like this lalo. The first one is really risky to get the three stars. To get a second star, it's either like 1 or 3 stars, and that's why I'm normally doing the left, like into the town hall one. And even though you're going into 2 sweepers, like both pointing at the town hall, it doesn't really matter because you have so many spells that are speeding up your loons, so you don't really have an issue. What I do is to lure out the queen with my 2 skeleton spells, so the queen is going on the outside. Then I can tank everything with my slammer and drop even more loons in. And then I can like drop the first hound and the second hound with even more loons to funnel everything in. So I have like in the end 3 groups. The first group is from the town hall. The second group is from the right of the town hall. And the other one is like funneling through the Inferno Tower over here. So that's like the idea of this attack. And I will show you guys how I try to do that. And once again, everything in the end is like coming together over this last Inferno Tower, which is like always the idea that you have like all of your loons coming together. And yeah, I'm in early rage just to make sure that my skeletons are killing the enemy queen, and it's helping my loons to get into the base. And at some point there will be a loon which is dying over the Inferno Tower, over the town hall, which means town hall is activated. The second group is way too late. Like there's an execution error of me, which means all of the loons went to the left and to the right, and now have to go to the core. Normally you want to have them straight to the eagle pretty much. The right group is coming in as well, and now we have 2 groups coming into the last Inferno Tower. 1 haste spell left, and well, luckily it's still 3. Normally it's a way bigger overkill if you manage the timing right, like with all of the groups coming together. But on this one, since I have had this, like the second group, too late, it got a little bit closer, but still in the end a 3 star, and that's how to triple the space, and at the same time how to like create. On this one I would say the Sui in the beginning was value with Inferno Tower, and at the same time pathing wise, because with getting rid of one of those corners, it's super easy for the pathing for Lalo, so that's always nice. So like I said, sometimes you have to combine those things. So now we can take a look at the last attack and what I did wrong, and why I, for example, didn't triple on this one. This is an anti 3-star base, and you have a couple of options if you're taking those with your hero part. First of all, you try to dodge the enemy CC, and second of all, you try to get into compartments which are next to Inferno Towers. For example, into this one, or into this one. All of those are nice options. I could go into this as well, but I was a bit scared of like going into the CC or like luring the CC too early or something like that. So that was an option for me. I have those 3 options. In the end, I decided for the left one because the funnel was pretty easy. I had like no concerns that my queen would go in. The funnel is pretty easy overall, and yeah, I had no like there could be Tesla over here, which completely screws up my funnel. For this one, there are so many storages, which means it takes like ages. So I decided, okay, let's go over here, get rid of this archer tower, then baby dragon on this. King is walking this side, baby dragon to funnel in, and then this is going to be my queen, king, and this once again is a baby dragon like this. And that was pretty much the idea. As soon as I did that, there's no sweeper pointing towards the town hall, and at the same time there's a building next to the town hall, which means if I get the slammer onto the archer tower, I can activate the town hall. That's like a huge thing, and that's why I normally don't bring an earthquake. If you can activate the town hall with your slammer, that's pretty nice. So let's take a look at the attack and where and when I did my mistake, because this one wasn't the planning mistake. What I had like in my head when it comes down to planning and the idea of the base was completely correct. It could have tripled if you execute it correctly. So let's take a look at the queen in the beginning. Okay, the loons, baby dragon, so I can get rid of everything over here. Then the loons are coming in, the king is coming in, and speed that up a little bit. and then a berry deck just to make sure that my queen is going into the compartment. Everything is looking good so far. Test wall breaker was already in. Now freeze the rest of the wall breakers. The first thing, king is doing the CC, which wasn't planned. And I don't know, did I drop 2? No, I had 1 freeze for the Inferno Tower and 1 freeze onto the loons, which was a complete waste because I thought, okay, let's try to get the Inferno Tower. And this was my first huge mistake, dropping this freeze, even though the CC was already out and I had already the Inferno Tower down, so there was no reasoning behind dropping this freeze. My queen is still getting a lot of value, like getting everything done. And so far, when someone is a good Lalo taker, this should be a free triple. Like, this should be such an easy triple. But we take a look at what did I wrong. The first thing is I was really risky with not dropping a coconut loon for my slammer, but in the end it worked. The town was activated, the loons are coming in for the right side, everything is looking really great, and now I panic and drop a rage. Like, why the heck would I drop a rage over there? There's no, like, the slammer isn't really, like, the rage isn't affecting the slammer, so the rage is completely wasted. A haste spell could be okay, but the rage, in the end, you will see it, completely kills my rage, and yeah. So the town was down, everything is looking good, so it's already safe 2-star pretty much. But no, still, we have to go through 2 multi-inferno towers, the eagle and a lot of expos, which is huge. The sweeper is super annoying, and now this would be the perfect position for rage. Like getting rid of the queen with my skeleton spells, getting my loons into the back, like into the back end of this base. And still, you can see, even though I swagged my rage spell, there are so many loons left. There are so many freaking loons left, and it's so close. Like I said, the queen would have been dead with the rage, like, for sure. But since the queen survives, she can shoot all of the loons, and there are, in the end, 2 defenses left, the air defense and the archer tower, with the rage spell, or maybe with a freeze, one of those, and it would be a huge overkill. Sadly, like I said, panicked, I don't know. So even this under 3-star base could have been easily tripled with proper placement of my spells, and that's when I'm coming to the last point, what is really important in this strategy, and that's spell placement and spell timing. It's super important, like, when do I drop the spells, where do I drop the spells, etc. Stuff like how many loons should I drop on which defenses are, like, you think those would be important, but if you have 40 loons over, like 35 own loons, you can drop 5 loons over here, 4 loons over there, 6 loons over there. You don't care, you have enough loons that you don't have to count them. Like, okay, don't drop like 20 loons over there, but still, there's such an amount of loons that you don't really have to count too much, so it's like not such an important question. It's all about the spell placement, like I said, the Sui part in the beginning, and to create proper pathing. I hope you guys liked the video first, and second of all, I hope you guys learned a lot, and, well, please don't triple me in Legend League, but you can triple with this strategy pretty much anyone, except me, but still, it's super strong. I hope you guys had fun watching the video. I hope you guys, like I said, learned a little bit, and I will see you guys in the next video in 2 days, and see you there.